Join UF Hall of Famer and 14-year NFL vet Shane Matthews every weekday as he brings you all you need to know about your Florida Gators, including news, analysis, and opinions with some of the biggest names in sports. Find us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Or watch us live at 8 a.m. on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter.
Good morning. It's a live edition of PodUp with Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. It's Thursday. We'll have Brent, Beaird, college football analyst and Heisman Trophy voter, in just a second. Break down everything that happened yesterday. And we'll have second portion. We're going to have Edgar Thompson join us, give us a little rundown, a little more in depth of what the Gators signed yesterday. Congratulations to everyone that signed out there. Hopefully, everybody's happy. I know a lot of players' pockets are full of cash. Let's go to the Titan Tomorrow hotline, courtesy of Duffield Home Improvements. Brent, good morning. How you doing?
Good morning. Good to be on with you on a Thursday as we get ready for Christmas. And Merry Christmas, everyone, by the way. We had now, it is worth mentioning that we're not done with signing day. We've got today, we've got tomorrow, and then we've got February. So we can't forget that I know most of the hay is in the barn for a lot of these teams, but there are still the people who can still sign. It's open, and these are high school seniors, obviously, that we're talking about. Yesterday, today, and tomorrow. And we have bowl games going on. South Florida, Syracuse, in the Boca Raton Bowl tomorrow night, and Georgia Tech and UCF, and the Gasparilla Bowl Friday. And we've got noon to about 2 in the morning on Saturday again for college football fans.
Yes, indeed. Tom on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing, says, yesterday was a disaster for the Gators. Don't spin it any other way. I mean, it's signing day. Things happen. I don't worry about it. So there's no sugarcoating, Iceman and Tom. Look, I do not follow recruiting. I don't give a damn about recruiting. It's, if you're complaining, you need to send checks to the collective. That's all I can say. Because 99% of these players went for the money. It's that simple. That's a fact. That is a fact. Brent, let's talk about some of the rankings or what have you, and
yes.
Tom will tell how that plays out. But where do they stand?
Yeah, let me give you the big three here, and this tells you how close some of this can be. I won't hit every team, but we'll get the ones that people are interested in the most. 24/7, Georgia's 1, Bama's 2, Miami is 3, Auburn is 7, Florida State is 9, LSU is 11, the Gators are 16, South Carolina and Ole Miss are 20 and 21. Okay, that's 24/7. Now let's look at rivals. Alabama is 1, Georgia's 2, LSU is 5, Miami is 8. Also, Florida is 13. This is the highest Florida is on any of the rankings, is 13. A&M's 14, South Carolina 17, and that is rivals. Now, I'll get on 3. Which is the newer of the versions. Nothing changes at the top, though. Georgia's 1, Bama's 2, Ohio State's 3, and Miami is 4. Auburn is 7, LSU's 10, Florida State's 11, Tennessee's 13, and the Gators are 16. So I won't try to confuse folks anymore, but the big three, that's basically where they've got them right now. We can break it down and go with it however we want to do it as we get texts and questions. but those are the rankings. And again, remember, those are the rankings after day one, and these can change a lot. And look, for having covering recruiting since the early 90s in its infancy, the biggest thing you've got the people need to understand about recruiting is not how many stars you got, but I know that's important to a lot of people, and I get it. But the question is, whether it's Florida or whoever it is, did you meet your needs? You had to get a certain number of linemen and DBs and linebackers, etc. Did you meet your needs? And if you did that, it was a good recruiting class. That's
for sure.
That's the fairest way, Shane, I know how to cover it.
Yeah, no doubt. Greg says on here, Lagway didn't go for the money. I don't know about that. Just if you hear things. Look, he's been a Gator a long time, but he likes Billy Napier a lot. But let me tell you, he's getting paid a lot of money. It came down, he almost went to A&M. So, Justin says Clemson lived with recruiting rankings 10 to 15, signed elite quarterbacks, won a couple national titles. Yeah, you just got to wait and see how it plays out. All About Blakely says a big pitch was this recruiting class and it's gone. Gary Condren said we absolutely matched some NIL and still lost. We increased some to get some players too. I do know that for a fact. They didn't just follow the money. They think Nate will be gone. Maybe that's true, but majority of them, the kid that flipped to Auburn went for more money. So we upped the ante to get some of the players. I know that. Just even having to think about that is so damn stupid.
Yeah, it is. I agree with that. And listen, of all the joy and the consternation that's going on right now, the thing that people have to realize, I saw a tweet about this yesterday, and unfortunately, this is so true. Is with what we're dealing with right now, people are either elated or they are lower than a snake's belly, as we used to say. And think about this a minute. At least 50% of these kids we're talking about today, in 2 years, they very well may be somewhere else.
That is so true. Brent, somebody had a question on here, and I'm trying to figure out how to get back to these questions. About the more Michigan crap has come out with the NCAA. What can you tell us?
Oh, okay. Basically, what's happened is it just has become formal. Michigan has received a notice of allegation from the NCAA regarding this investigation into the 4 alleged Level 2 violations that led to a Level 1 allegation against head coach Jim Harbaugh for allegedly lying to and misleading investigators. One of the violations included meeting with 2 recruits during a COVID-19 recruiting dead time. So it just lets people know that it is now a formal NCAA investigation. Will this affect the playoffs? No, absolutely not, because Michigan has received their notice of allegation. They've got, I believe it's 90 days in order to respond, and then it just kind of goes from there. Now, the NCAA may have fast-tracked some of this stuff, but Shane, we're still talking about an investigation that will probably minimally be, a year to 18 months, something like that, before any kind of decision is made. And for all we know, Harbaugh may be in the NFL today.
Yeah.
Or by then.
And Greg put on here, Lagway he got way more than that. Way more, and it's a lot. Monty says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Melton Law. Shane, after reading all this pathetic doom and gloom comments about our recruiting class, I think it's time for some of our so-called fans to enter their own transfer portal. Amen. Amen to that. So anyway, we'll talk more with Edgar Thompson about what's specifically going on with the Gators and their class and rearranging the weight room and things of that nature. All right, Brent, let's just kind of go through the league a little bit real quick. Obviously, Alabama, another tremendous class. They kind of recruit, the school recruits itself there with all the winning
It
that they've
does.
been doing.
Right.
Anything stand out to you with the Tide?
Yeah, I mean, they were either number one or number two. It was another really good class. They got a lot of what I would say. I mean, again, it was positions of need. They needed wide receivers, and they got those guys. They got one quarterback in Julian Sang, who's a heralded quarterback out of California. They got a running back from. You'd think a running back from Tuscaloosa County would be pretty easy, but he had a lot of competition with that. They did get Jameer Grimsley, I believe that was with Florida. Florida was involved with that too. Rico Scott's a really good wide receiver. And I won't go into all of it, but it was another really good class. Bama was like 14 at one point, and they really wrapped it up. Now, this is one of the more bizarre things I've ever read. Frankly, Elijah Pritchett is an offensive lineman for Alabama. He went in the portal, changed his mind, and he came back. Well, this is not me making this up. This is a story. You can find this on Twitter. Police in Tuscaloosa arrested redshirt freshman offensive lineman Elijah Pritchett Wednesday night and charged him with knowingly passing on a sexually transmitted disease.
I ain't never heard of that. That's crazy.
Yeah, I really haven't either. But that is the story. So I'm just passing that on. But anyway, Bama did get LT Overton from A&M. I'll give you some numbers on this in a few minutes when we get to A&M. But that incredible recruiting class by Jimbo Fisher, half that class is now transferred out. How about that? That tells you how quickly things change.
Yeah. Someone had a question, and I don't know why I can't go back to these questions. I don't know what's up with Facebook. They change like something every day. Somebody's asking about how the NIL works. Do they get paid up front or is it incentive based? Majority of the ways it's working nowadays is a guy gets a signing bonus. Okay.
Yeah.
Then he gets paid X amount of dollars per month. And it's crazy the amount of money they're getting per month. It will blow your mind.
It will.
So that's how it works. Now, I don't believe many have any kind of incentives. It's all upfront because the problem is if Brent Beaird is coaching at School X and you have incentive-based stuff in your NIL, and I'm coaching at School Y, and we're giving money no matter what, the kid's going to come play for me.
Sure.
So that's why that's the way it's working right now. And it is crazy, crazy, crazy. So anyway, Brent, Auburn, they had a decent class, not a great class. They had a couple of people flip last minute, and I'm sure Jimmy from Yellowwood had something to do with that.
Yep. Oh yeah. Some things with Auburn. Robbie Ashford, by the way, has entered the NCAA transfer portal. So he is no longer involved in the mix. Faber Edwin, who is a 6'8", 290-pound offensive tackle, has signed with Auburn. The big thing they did was they got more receivers, Kim Coleman and Perry Thompson, from the state of Alabama. That was huge for them. They do play Maryland in the bowl game, and it is worth mentioning Talia, who is Tua's younger brother, has opted out of the Music City Bowl. So that will give Auburn somewhat of an advantage, I think, in that game. Although Maryland's pretty good, they've got some good receivers, depending on how well their backup quarterback begins. So, but Hugh Freeze, like a lot of guys, and the interesting thing is, Freeze gave up or really, yes, he gave up play calling at Auburn in order to concentrate on being more the CEO and dealing with recruiting. So I think that paid off for him. So Auburn in all the recruiting rankings had the top 10 class.
Yeah, I thought he went back to calling plays at the end of the year, but I could be wrong. Let's see. Let's skip over the Gators. We'll have Edgar fill us in on all that.
Sure.
Tennis, excuse me. Let's go with Ole Miss. Ole Miss, I don't think they hardly signed anybody out of high school, but they got a ton of dudes in the portal.
Ole Miss, really, there's probably as much excitement, frankly, with Ole Miss right now as there is anybody. With the people who are coming back, that has made a difference. On defense, 2 Tennessee transfers, edge rusher Tyler Barron and Tamaria McDonald, defensive back, have committed to Ole Miss. Obviously, Princely from Florida, we know about that. Walter Nolan, the defensive lineman from Texas A&M, the number 1 player in the portal, is considering Ole Miss and Oregon. That would be big for Ole Miss too. Juice Wells from South Carolina, the wide receiver, has committed to Ole Miss. It's not official yet, but Quinshon Junkins appears to be coming back to Ole Miss. Also, Jackson Dart, we understand, is coming back. To Trey Harris, the wide receiver, is coming back. So they're putting all their eggs in one basket to make a playoff run next year. And by the way, this won't surprise you, Shane, but Lane Kiffin has agreed to a contract extension. We don't know the details. 4th year. Lane is 33-15 at Ole Miss, a bowl game every year, including a pair of New Year's Six games. So Lane has done a pretty good job at Ole Miss and is earning his $9 or $10 million per year.
Yes, indeed. Mark says on Facebook Live, he can't believe these guys are getting paid so much for proving absolutely nothing. Yeah, that's the name of the game. There's a lot of guys, including Gators, are going to be making more money than guys that have been in the NFL for 3 or 4 years have made. It's nuts. Radware is a family-owned business that prides itself in excellent customer service while providing quality and affordable promotional products and customized apparel. Speaking with Brent Beaird, a college football analyst, on the Titan Moore Hotline, courtesy of Duffield Home Improvements. Brent, you know who's really done a really good job, and a lot of people are wanting to go play there, the Missouri Tigers.
Yeah, they really are. There's no doubt about that. I mean, Eli Drinkwitz I think is a pretty fun guy to play for. Also, now they did lose Gabari Johnson, one of their quarterbacks. He's in the transfer portal. Caden Green, former Oklahoma offensive tackle, has committed to Missouri. And Missouri kind of typically in these recruiting rankings, here's 24/7, and Missouri is 24. So that's not real high, but yet they are making it work for what they're doing. And again, as someone told me years ago, who was one of the pioneers in recruiting, he said, it's not just a top 10 class. He said, if you've got a top 25 class and met your needs, you did better than people realize. And I've heard this from several people, and there's a lot of truth to it. Believe it or not, the top 10 class compared to top 20 class, in reality, there's not that much difference. Sometimes, and I won't get into this, but the way they do their mathematical formula, and it's a lot more scientific than it used to be. But frankly, don't be in a state of depression if your signing class that did not get the top 10, because you can still get a good class regardless.
Yeah. How did the Tennessee Vols do?
Tennessee Tennessee, and 24/7 is 13. They had 21 commitments in theirs. They've got some guys who have kind of stood out. Mike Matthews, who's a wide receiver out of Georgia. And I know a lot of these names won't mean much, but I'm just throwing some out just to let folks know. Max Anderson from Texas, 6'5", 309, is a well thought of offensive tackle that they got. Also, to me, the thing they've still got to be able to do, a lot of 3-stars here for Tennessee, by the way, is they've got to shore up that defense. Now, they've got Nico coming in at quarterback. That may help. That may not. We haven't seen enough of him to even know. So, but again, that's a top 15 class for the Vols.
Yeah, A&M, as you mentioned, have lost a ton of guys from their big-time recruiting class last year, which is somewhat surprising because, if maybe they weren't making the money that was reported, or there's been rumors that some of these collectives aren't paying out what they promise.
Right.
But they went hard after DJ Lagway, didn't get him. We upped the ante, I believe. I'm a little surprised Riley Leonard did not go to A&M with Mike Elko. Were you surprised at that at all?
Yeah, a little bit too. Yes. Now, some of the things that happen with A&M, with recruiting and otherwise, Jake Johnson, the Texas A&M tight end, may be going to North Carolina. He's the brother of Max Johnson, as folks know. Evan Stewart is in the transfer portal.
Mhm.
Now, whoever gets Evan Stewart is going to have a tremendous player. Shane and I have talked about him from time to time. He is just electric. 91 catches, 1,000 yards in 18 games. Cyrus Allen, who's a Louisiana Tech wide receiver, is transferring there. Also, Fidel Diggs, their defensive lineman, is going to Syracuse. They lost a third of their highest rated class. 4 of 11 were 5-stars from that 22 class that went elsewhere. Now, again, here's what I'm looking for. A&M, and look, people need to understand this could happen to anybody. A&M signed 18 top 100 recruits for its number 1 class in 2022. Evan Stewart will be the 9th player to leave the program if he transfers. Doesn't take long to do the math on that one, does it, Shane? You signed 18 top ranked class. 9 of them now have left.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's move to the ACC. Obviously, Florida State had a great year. They had 2 players that were highly, highly rated flip on them last minute. How'd that affect their class, Brent?
Well, they still had a good class. We'll go to on 3 with this. And Florida State is 11. And on 3, they didn't get any 5-stars. This year they got 13 4-stars. But look, anytime you get a number 11 class, that's pretty good. All the way around. They're second in the ACC with this class too. Cam Davis is a running back out of Georgia. He's well thought of. Jonathan Daniels, offensive tackle from Pensacola. Elijah Moore, wide receiver out of Maryland. That good council areas are really ripe for recruits. So I won't go into all that, but it's still, yes, you're right about that. They did lose some guys, but they still did well all the way around. The KJ Bolden is a safety they picked up from Buford, Georgia. Buford's got one of the better high school team anywhere. I think they got Bolden, and they also got a Mario Blunt from Miami in that area too. So just a little bit about FSU, but if folks haven't heard, Jaheim Bell went to the NFL. They did get Marvin Jones Jr. transfer from Georgia. Jared Verse went to the NFL, the edge rusher. Trey Benson is going to the NFL. They're a really good running back. So KJ Jefferson has been mentioned a little bit. Cam Ward also, so be able to follow those. And FSU still will be working on ways to get out of the ACC. That's still coming.
I got a text on the Titanamore text line from 941. He says, finished 17th in recruiting behind FSU and Miami. By the numbers, Mullen recruited better. Thought this was Billy's strength. I think he's a very strong recruiter. I just think the times have changed. I don't think the relationships or the recruiting matters that much. This is just my opinion, because Billy's plan of recruiting and everything, like I told you, all this happened at a terrible time when Florida was losing football games, and then NIL came about. So personally, I don't think recruiting has anything to do other than the NIL today. That's my firm belief on that. Brent, you may have another belief. Many of our listeners may believe something else, but I firmly believe majority of it is about how much money are you going to pay me?
True. Yeah.
And
Look,
quite honestly, our two top players got paid a lot of money, more than the other teams were offering, from what I was told. So we'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I agree. Look, it's unfortunate, but recruiting, NIL has changed recruiting drastically, and a lot of it is. The first question, and coaches would tell you, unfortunately, the first question they get is, what can you do for me with NIL? Look, and it used to be, okay, we can develop you, we can send you to the NFL, you can get a good education, we got great facilities, et cetera, et cetera. Those are way down the list now. NIL is number one, and unfortunately, that's where we are.
Yeah, Kevin from Punta Gorda on the Titanamore text line says, Shane, will some kids stay longer in school now because they can make more money in the NIL than they can in the NFL? Absolutely, they will.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's why you see,
that's true.
That's why they go into the portal and see who's going to pay him the most and go play there. They're not going to go into the. I mean, I know for a fact Bo Nix got well over $1 million last year to go to Oregon. So, it's crazy, and he would make. You won't make that as a rookie in the NFL. So.
Yeah, well, look, this is a sermon on another day, but what really is going to cause issues here is when these kids who get an incredible amount of money, they get to the school and they do not perform. That's what's going to be the issue here, is when they are riding the bench and can't get on the field. So, that at some point, Shane, right? This is where the rubber meets the road, and there's going to be some difficulty with some of these players with that.
Yep, for sure. All right, Brent, give us some nuggets.
Well, I'll be glad to. Well, we haven't said anything about Miami yet, and we'll certainly mention the Canes. Canes had a really good recruiting class. They were in the top 10. They were even in the top 4. They got a defensive lineman by the name of Lightfoot, who signed. I believe he's an edge rusher from Chicago. Also, Don Chaney, their former running backs, committed to Louisville. If people don't know, Tyler Van Dyke, their quarterback last year, is transferred out, and he probably needed a change of scenery anyway. So they are looking for a quarterback. That's going to be very important to see where that goes. And again, remember, either through the portal or through the recruiting. So one or the other that you're going to get. Clemson did fine. They had a top 20 class with basically everybody. Vanderbilt has a new offensive coordinator. New Mexico State offensive coordinator Tim Beck will be joining Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt lost pretty much all their, bless their heart, they lost pretty much all their quarterbacks. A.J. Swan is going to South Carolina, so that's something to watch. Former Texas quarterback Malik Murphy is going to visit Duke in South Carolina over the next few days. So Mississippi State did well. Give them a lot of credit too. Now, Woody Marks, their running back, I understand is committed to Southern Cal. So that's a real loss. Will Rogers has left, unfortunately, but he wanted to get a new start also. So keep an eye on Mississippi State. Things are pretty quiet for LSU, frankly. That's unusual. If people haven't heard, Jane Daniels are not playing in the bowl game versus Wisconsin. That's no real surprise. Their defensive back, Sage Ryan, we thought he was going to the portal. He said he decided to change his mind and not. Kentucky got Jamone Dumas Johnson out of Georgia. Look, he was a starter at Georgia. That's a big pickup for Kentucky. So congratulations to them with that. Georgia, the number one class. I could go on and on about that, but Carson Beck is coming back. He's going to play in the bowl game. Cedric Van Prania, the offensive line. He received the Jacobs blocking trophy too. So, but it was a very, very good class for Georgia, and I believe we mentioned on my last note here, KJ Jefferson is leaving Arkansas. Not sure where he's going. He's a really good quarterback, but he's not a fit everywhere. So keep that in mind. So anyway, I know we need to get to Edgar, but Shane, that's just a few notes. And again, a reminder: South Florida and Syracuse tonight in the Boca Raton Bowl.
Good stuff, Brent. Appreciate it. Merry Christmas. We'll talk to you next week, buddy.
You too, brother. Take care.
That's Brent Beaird. Join us on the Titan More Hotline. Take a quick time out. Come back. We'll be joined by Edgar Thompson from the Orlando Sentinel. You're watching and listening PodUp with Matthews in the Morning. We want to take this moment to thank our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our premium sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, the only official injury and accident law attorneys of the Florida Gators. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. QC Kinetics, live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Campus USA, put some star power to work in your financial life with Campus USA Credit Union. Dave & Buster's, eat, drink, play, watch. Duffield Home Improvements for your window, siding, and roofing needs. Radware, your local provider of promotional products, uniforms, and apparel. Our gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Silverback Concrete, Ruse Ogre State Farm Insurance, Radware, F45, Quality Plumbing. Our touchdown sponsors are Adams Ribs, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Okido America, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, Big Mills Cheesesteak, McDonald's of Gainesville, 84 Lumber, Dowling Signs, Baker's Sporting Goods, Silver Q Billiards and Sports Bar. If you're interested in promoting your business on the show, call Freddie at 352-284-3733. If you like what we're doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Pro football legend Emmitt Smith understands your joint pain.
It does not surprise me that there are a ton of people out there that's in pain.
That's why Emmitt is such a proponent of QC Kinetics, offering real lasting joint pain relief with non-surgical, all-natural biologic treatments.
Whether it's a joint pain, ankle pain, shoulder pain, neck pain, back pain, hip pain, any kind of pain, the body eventually will break down when it's under that much stress.
That stress can cloud your judgment to the point that you'll just say yes to the scalpel or yes to another prescription prescription of pain pills. But maybe it's time for a second opinion from QC Kinetics.
The reason why I would recommend this is because the natural biologics that QC Kinetics is providing you gives your body a chance to naturally heal itself.
Restorative, regenerative solutions are here. Get lasting relief and live your life.
Call QC Kinetics, 352-400-4550. That's 352-400-4550. QC Kinetics, 352-400-4550.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Silverback Concrete is a family-led team of heavy concrete specialists that build commercial structures with unrivaled quality. Silverback Concrete, you stand on it, we stand by it. We're going to go back to the Titan Number Hotline, courtesy of Duffield Home Improvements, and it's Edgar Thompson from the Orlando Sentinel. Good morning, Edgar.
Hey, Shane. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. All right, give us a rundown of Billy's presser yesterday. Obviously, lost a lot of players from the initial recruiting class. I'm not surprised one bit because I don't think you can pay all those damn players that much money. They went elsewhere, but they did get some good players.
So you really think that the whole thing was a money thing?
I absolutely believe it will, 1,000%.
That it wasn't the fact
Well,
that the staff is like, you don't even know you're playing for?
Well, I don't know about the staff, but I mean, obviously, if a kid went to teams that are in the playoffs or have been winning at a high level, I have no problem with that because they want to go win, but they're getting paid a lot of money too. It's a combination of stuff. I tell people that the NIL portal stuff couldn't have come at a worse time for the Gator Nation because you were down, you weren't winning games, and it all hit at one time. And I think that's what's going to make digging out of the hole so much harder.
Yeah, and you didn't have the right, like, you didn't have the right perspective on it.
Correct.
And the Gators were not alone. Let's be honest. They're not alone in a lot of this stuff. But the Gators, I think I said this on the show, but I do shows and talk so much. I forget who I'm telling. The Gators aren't supposed to be those other programs. They're not supposed to be the program that didn't have NIL figured out and didn't anticipate. They're not supposed to be the program changing coaches every 3 to 4 years. They're not the program that you're supposed to look at the schedule and say, my God, look at that. They're supposed to be the team on the schedule. Other schools are going, oh my God, we got to play Florida next year. Now it's like Florida's like, oh my God, we got to play Ole Miss next year. It's not supposed to be the thing. So that's where this program's at. And we saw it play out yesterday to a degree. Now, let's get positive, first of all. Their average player rating is 9. The class fell from 3 at the end of the summer to 16. It was 5 going into November, 4 or 5, 4, I think. And then lost Waller and dropped a spot to 5, maybe. Now it's 16. But still, the average player rating's 9. That's not bad. Ahead of Florida State, in fact, by a spot. That's good. I like some of the pieces. How can't you? I mean, DJ Lagway, excited to see LJ McCray. I mean, these are 2 top 10 guys. Miles Graham, I think he's going to be Fletcher Westphal, Aaron Childs, Amir Jackson, I'm very intrigued with. I hear he's probably not going to need to beef up in the weight room some, but he's a terrific athlete out of Georgia. Kenny Daniels, this running back. I mean, you're losing Etienne, but you're getting 2 pretty good running backs in here. Now, are they going to be Trevor Etienne? Probably not. He's pretty rare. I mean, this Dree Hawkins, he said he was the fastest player on the team from day one. I like a lot of these pieces. This Noel, Portage again or whatever, the German kid, he's raving about like his athleticism, just his ability to move at 6'5", 334. So I think they got a lot of work to do in the portal still, but there are nice pieces. Again, though, they lost a lot on defense, a lot of guys on defense where you really need help. And you say that it's LNIL and all that, sure. I mean, Amaris Williams, they couldn't afford him. He went to Auburn, right? He's an example. But Isaiah Williams, is that the kid, the Tampa receiver? pretty explosive kid, 20 and a half a catch last year. He's going to Texas A&M. A lot of people are like Sean Spencer and him were tight. So you get rid of Sean Spencer.
A&M gives a lot of money too. And so what I think people don't realize is you have to pick and choose where you're going to distribute the money.
For sure.
You know
they
what I'm
have
saying?
A board and everything.
Yeah, you got a board and says this position, we cannot pay that much for that position. Rod says on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing. Shane, look at the product on the field. So until that improves, this is what you're going to get. I agree with that. You're not understanding what I'm saying is that when the NIL portal really hit the fan, the Gators were awful. And on the field, however you want to say it, and kids want to go play for the teams that are winning right now. Plus, they're getting paid. So until you win and have enough money to buy players to come, this is where you are, is what I'm trying to say. If you think we're just going to have this top recruiting class after going 5 and 7, you're clueless. So anyway, Andy says here, Edgar.
I mean, Billy tossed a salvo out about people being up for the challenge, right? Like I liked it, but it's like, I don't know, man. I would have approached that press conference differently, but hey, look, Billy's the guy making, $7+ million. I'm not. He can do whatever he wants. But how does you ask him questions about losing? Like he was asked about losing players. Like, what players are you talking about? It's like, what have you been doing the last 6 weeks? I mean, you lost 8 guys since November, 6 in the top 150, 4 in the top 100. Your class dropped 13 spots, and he's wondering what players we're talking about. I mean, I get it. He doesn't want to show weakness, but you got to at least be an honest broker at some point too, right? What'd you think of that comment?
I didn't even listen to his press conference. I was busy all day yesterday doing other things, playing golf, not worried about recruiting because I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. There's not a dang thing I can do, you can do as a fan. Keep saying kids are going to make up where they want to go, and that phone continued to ring yesterday to the last second with offers on the table with dollar signs.
Yeah, I mean, LJ McCray delayed his commitment from an 11:30 ceremony at school at Mainland to do it in front of his fans and his teammates and classmates till 5:45 on Instagram Live. So clearly I heard he was going to be delayed even longer. So clearly he was kind of on the fence, and I know Auburn was coming hard at him. And Auburn's the Texas A&M of this year. They're just throwing money. Hey, look, Hugh Freeze knows how to work it. The guy got probation at Ole Miss because he knew he was working it so hard for that number 1 or whatever class he got back in 2014.
Yeah. Any word on the kid, the wide receiver? What's his name down in Chaminade? That was supposed to go to Ohio State. He hasn't sent his paperwork in yet.
I don't know. I heard he hadn't as of whatever, but man, I can barely keep up. I mean, yesterday you're starting at 6:30 in the morning, it's 9 o'clock, and you're sitting there drinking coffee trying to finish stories. So, yeah, I mean, look, I don't know what he's going to do. I know the Gators were pushing to try to get him.
So Michael says here on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing, honestly, to have a class inside the top 20 after 2 losing seasons, actually we've had 3 losing seasons in a row, he says isn't horrible.
No, I don't think it is. I tried to be positive. The number 9 in player rating too. It's a respectable class to say the least. Shane, since in 2022-23, if you go into the top 15 classes, 8 of those teams out of 30, so 2 classes, 15 each, right? 8 had losing records. Texas finished number 5 actually in 2022 after going 5 and 7, 6 and 7, whatever it was, 5 and 7, I think. They're in the playoff right now. So that class was good. Okay. Clearly. I didn't dig into the details of it. 19 of those 30 teams had 10-win seasons. So winning matters, period.
Yep.
Lose 5 in a row, and you're not going to get the class you thought you were going to get. But it's still tough, and it's still hard to, deal. You build these relationships. That's what I would have said if I were Billy. Instead of like throwing down the gauntlet, I would say, look, you build these relationships, you spend all these time with these kids. It's disappointing, but you move on. We like the class we got, and these guys are bought in, and the roster is better than the one he inherited. You got to think, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. I want to address this too. Rod keeps saying Mullen had the same recruiting rankings and didn't have the facilities, make it make sense. Again, it's not the same playing field. I'm not making excuses for Billy Napier. I'm not making excuses for Dan Mullen. But when Mullen recruited and the game was not like it is now with NIL, that's more important than facilities now is money, 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 money.
Didn't I say last week it's NIL, NIL, playing opportunity, NIL, maybe program trajectory, NIL, facilities? I mean, facilities don't even matter anymore.
Yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't. It really doesn't. It is. I keep telling people if y'all, I mean, I'm not going to release what I've heard. The amount of money these kids are making is absolutely mind blowing.
All you got to do is go to the parking lot. It's like I said, when the NIL started, Mark Long and I, who we're doing our podcast in 1:15 that I need to prepare for when I hang up here, is we talked to Scott Strickland, June 2021, after a Board of Trustees meeting, okay? From our conversation, my sense, and this isn't calling out Scott, this was everyone's sense, this is a media sense. It was going to be, hey, Emory Jones is going to take a picture of himself at Hawaiian Apartments next to the pool and go, hey, come, you know, and gets a $300 cut on his rent. Trinity Thomas was going to do a Burrito Brothers or whatever the place is called deal and sign autographs over there and get free burritos for a year. I mean, that's what people thought it was me. Anthony Richardson was going to get the Dodge Charger, which would be a jalopy in that parking lot now. I mean, these guys are driving Range Rovers and Teslas and Mustangs, $75,000 cars. That's what it is now. It's amazing how it's taken off. And a lot of people were naive about it, myself included. But, you know, I'm not the guy making $1.8 million either.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, it's crazy. It just when people let me know what so and so is making, I'm just like, are you serious? I mean, good for them, but I'm just like, that's where we are today.
What would you have made? SEC Player of the Year 2 times. What would you have made?
I would think I would have made a lot.
Give me a figure.
I don't know. I mean, that's 30 something years ago. I have no problem with guys getting paid after they've shown they can play, right?
Yeah,
I mean, that's what happens in the NFL. You don't get these great contracts after your rookie contract if you don't perform. And so, I mean, Tebow would have made a ton of money. Danny would have made a ton of money. Rex, but it just blows my mind that when a kid has not even played a down at the collegiate level, they're making more money than guys that have been in the NFL 3 or 4 years.
Yeah,
that's what's crazy.
I know those minimum salaries in the NFL. What is it now? Like 600-ish? I don't even know. It was like 4.
Right, but you know, yeah, we have multiple people on the Florida Gators making more than guys that are.
Well, I know. That's why I'm asking. What's the minimum? I don't
know right now. I'm
hearing Carson Beck is making like, if it's, let's say 600 is the minimum. I don't know. But Carson Beck making about 5 or 6 times that and getting a lot of other perks to go with it. So,
but he's performed at a high level. I don't have a problem with that.
It's $750 at the NFL, $750 minimum. Yeah. And you have to make a team. You know, that ain't practice squad. That's making a 53-man roster. Mm-hmm. Let's see how many of the guys on this current Gator team are making a 53-man roster for an extended period of time, even 2 years. It's not going to be a lot.
No, not many at all. So anyway, all right, Edgar. Anything else from the press conference yesterday? I mean, where do they stand right now? How many spots do we have left to sign? Are we full? I don't even know.
No, they only got like 18 recruits. I mean, they've got 4 portal guys. They got room, dude. They lost a lot of guys.
We signed the wide receiver from Wisconsin as well, correct?
Yeah, I can't. We did. They did. Yeah, I don't know anything about the guy. Honestly, I'm looking. But yeah, they signed him, and I think they have some receivers. Don't you think? I think they have
Yeah,
some
yeah.
receivers.
Offensively, I'll be honest with you. I have some friends up in the West Point area about that little running back we got. The running backs we signed, the one kid he flipped from, was it Alabama? We flipped him.
I wasn't flipping from. He left. He pulled out of his
Arkansas, and then I think
and
Alabama won.
they
Anyway,
beat out
those
Alabama.
two running backs are pretty damn good.
No, the kid from Mississippi, your old stomping grounds, looks like a stud.
Yeah.
I think they're okay at running back. I mean, ETN is a home run threat, sure, but they have 5 running backs if you include Cam Carroll, Trayon Webb, Montrell Johnson, these 2 kids, Baugh and Daniels. So they're nice there. I think receiver, they have a lot of receivers with upside, and you got a quarterback who was solid last year and could take a step. O-line, man, they finally got a tackle with this Crenshaw Dixon guy. How many tackles do you think they really have on this team? True tackles. Austin Barber maybe on the right side. He had a left tackle.
Yeah.
I mean,
they're trying to get them. I know they're trying to get them. So
but they are, because they don't have any. So, in defensive line, I mean, and they lost McClellan and Norman. McClellan took a step back, I thought, or didn't take a step forward, let's say, that I thought he would. And Norman had a lot of upside. I don't know what the interior line's looking like. They got a couple of nice linebackers, but they lost one to Miami. But 2 good linebackers coming in. There's reasons for some optimism, but then you look at the schedule, and then you just look at what the product was on the field last year. It has to improve. The in-game decisions, management, special teams.
I still think that the biggest problem with this football team is, the special teams issues you mentioned, but it's defense.
It is.
Everybody sits here and wants to talk about offensive coordinator still. I ain't worried about offensive coordinator. I'm worried about stopping somebody every now and then. That's all I'm worried about.
You wouldn't like to see a different play caller or a different guy?
I don't have a problem with that if that's the case. But Edgar, I can promise you, it doesn't matter if they hired Steve Spurrier to call plays. In today's world, people are going to bitch and complain when you don't score every possession.
I get that, Shane, but when everything else is falling apart around you on game day, you're mismanaging timeouts.
Because that to me, I go back to it. That is your assistant coaches. They have responsibilities to do things. I've been on teams for 40-something years.
If you're the head coach, though, and you're thinking about the plays you're calling.
Right. So I'm going to explain just real quick. We got 2 minutes. Here's how it works. I'm the play caller. I'm in the huddle with all 22 guys that are all on the sidelines. We're talking about, hey, we're gonna start first down. We're gonna run this. We're gonna be in 11 personnel. After this play, we're probably gonna go to 12 and do this. You have 4 other coaches: wide receiver, O-line, analysts, whatever. They should, hey, coach, they're getting ready to blow the whistle right here. TV's coming back. They're getting ready to blow the whistle. Okay, here we go. I don't think anybody does that. And that's not on the head coach, because as a play caller, you're worried about that stuff. And I hear what you're saying. If Billy's the head coach and has somebody else doing it, he can control it. But I think he needs help. I think he needs help from the assistants, because every other team I played on, the other assistants were involved with that in my 30-something years.
He definitely needs it isn't all on him. He can't do it all alone.
Right. But that's when people keep saying that. I hear what you're saying, but that falls on the other people that aren't calling the plays. And so if Billy has a OC, he can do that. Yes, he can. But you still got issues with your other procedural stuff that happened on that sideline last year.
By the way, news, Gerald Chapman, did you see that? I tweeted yesterday. Tulane defensive line
D-line coach
is going to come. He's set to come. Billy didn't confirm it, but I wrote it with confidence. And he's got an interesting path, as many of these coaches do. This can be his 10th school since 2010. He's got 3 daughters too and a wife. I mean, man, he's just like, they're moving a lot. But
Wow.
he sent, so I know the guy who covers Tulane, Gary Smith. He used to be a Gator bait. You remember Gary? Worked with Marty Cohen for years. Really astute football guy. Covers Tulane, and he said the guy's good. So it's a loss. So, young, but you're not going to get the top guy. Hey, come join a program, program that might only be together another year. So Will Harris and this guy seem like pretty good gets considering what's going on there. Anyway, that's just a little something just to give fans if they hadn't seen that yet.
All right. Good stuff as always, Edgar. Have a great Christmas, and we'll talk to you soon, buddy.
Thanks, man.
That's Edgar Thompson from the Orlando Sentinel. Join us on the Titan Tomorrow hotline. Hope you folks enjoyed today's program. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day.
Hey, Shane.
Hang on.